The tyranny of borrowed benchmarks is quiet, but relentless. We live amid infinite tools, tutorials, and teachers. By all accounts, self improvement should be easier than ever. And yet, people quit sooner, projects stall faster, and our dissatisfaction with our lives seems to be at an all time high. Why is that? Well, there are a number of factors at play, but one of them is that we've abandoned the simple, private task of setting our own measures of success. Hi, I'm Sam Mass. I'm a writer and filmmaker. And in this video, we're going to talk about the healthiest journaling habit that I've ever adopted. I come to realize that my subconscious doesn't really think in the way that I always thought it did. It doesn't just listen to what I have to say, it assigns images to anything that I say. So whenever I set a vague goal for myself, like get in shape, my subconscious will adopt an image of what it thinks that I mean by that. And this could be anything. It could be the image of a number on a scale. It could be a certain body type or physique, or it could be the image of me crossing the finish line of a marathon. All of these things could be synonymous with get in shape inside my subconscious. But because I'm bombarded with images of other people's lives constantly through social media, my subconscious will often adopt an image that has nothing to do with my own life. It will latch on to the highlight reels or extremes it's seen online. And if I'm not careful, my subconscious will adopt these images and they will become the ruler against which I measure my own progress. Here's a simple example. I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see some fitness influencers' abs. And I think to myself, I should get in shape. Now, that's not a terrible goal, but buried beneath that goal, my subconscious has adopted an image of what it thinks I mean by that, which is that influencer's abs. And that image has nothing to do with my body, my schedule, my life, or really even my actual goal, which is just to get in shape. What makes it really tricky is that oftentimes you're not aware of the image that your subconscious has adopted. So while I'm telling myself one thing, my subconscious is thinking of another thing as its measure of success. And here's how this usually plays out. I start working out based on this post, and I go from not working out at all to working out every day. And after 3 weeks, I'm really sore and I'm proud because I've made it pretty far. And then I go and I look in the mirror, and my body looks nothing like the influencer's abs. In fact, it looks like I haven't made any progress at all. There's no discernible difference in my body from when I started. And now I feel like I failed and I wonder why I even started in the first place. And I quit because failing feels terrible and I don't want to feel that way. But I haven't really failed at all. I went from not working out to working out every day for 3 weeks. That's huge progress. But I still feel like a failure because I'm not measuring how many times I worked out versus last month. I'm measuring how my body looks compared to that influencer online. And we do this all the time with all sorts of things, not just with working out. We do it with money. Our idea of wealth becomes conflated with these images of material success, these things that we think we need in order to appear wealthy, even if they're things that we don't even really want deep down. We do it with careers. We covet positions that other people tell us we should covet or that other people want. And so we want it too, even if it's not the lifestyle we envisioned for ourselves. And we do it with hobbies as well. Oftentimes people quit a hobby because they feel like they're not making any progress because they're comparing themselves to a professional they've seen online. So how do we get out of this trap of mimetic desire? Well, for me, in the case of exercise, the fix was keeping a journal, just starting from a blank page. Instead of chasing an image of what I wanted to look like based on something I'd seen online, I made my image of success the idea of me filling up a journal with completed workouts. And I was very deliberate about feeding that image to my subconscious as what success looked like. And so after 3 weeks of working out, I didn't care what I saw in the mirror or what number was on the scale. All I cared about was having a journal that was filling up with workouts. It was just about filling the blank page. And that felt amazing because it felt very tangible and real and physical. I could see my progress plain as day on the paper. And that feeling of success became the reason that I stuck with working out. Now, I made it sound like this was happening in the present moment, but actually, I adopted this workout journaling habit about 10 years ago. So, for the past decade, I've kept workout journals very consistently. And the best part is that it has nothing to do with discipline. I work out because I love it. I've become addicted to that feeling of progress. I think oftentimes people who don't exercise imagine that people do it for health reasons or to look a certain way. But usually that's why those people haven't been able to maintain the habit. It's not really about that. It's about the feeling of progress that you get from sticking with something over time. But it all starts with establishing a realistic baseline. an image or a goal that is based on your life, your reality, and not images you've seen and borrowed online. So there are some things that I've learned about this journaling habit and how to make it work better for myself. So here's what I've learned. So number one is start way smaller than you think. If you want to get into writing, but you're not writing at all right now, don't start with writing 2,000 words a day just because you heard somebody online say that's how much they've written. Just start with one sentence. Even if you're capable of writing 2,000 words a day, it doesn't give you anywhere to go. If you're starting at zero and you go to one sentence, that gives you a lot of milestones you can hit as you work your way up to 2,000 words. And really, that feeling of progress is what makes it addicting. And you don't want to get rid of that by going full blast immediately. Number two is to keep your baseline fluid. So by this, I mean, just because you maybe wrote 2,000 words last year, but work got busy and you haven't been writing at all, don't try and immediately go back to your old milestone. You got to start from where you're at currently. With my workout journal, I never look further back than a week in the past. I usually stick with the same workouts week over week for a certain length of time. If I'm doing a push-up workout this week and I did it last week, I'll flip back to last week, look at what I did, and then just try and beat those numbers. This is a great way to not get discouraged or quit on something just because other aspects of your life get busy. You can still make progress even if those numbers are less than they used to be in your past. Number three is to be honest with what you actually care about. This is actually way harder than it sounds. We all carry these beliefs about what we should want. And so being honest with yourself about what you want becomes quite difficult. If you're a writer, you may tell yourself that what you want is to write the best possible novel that you can. And that's an inspiring goal. But you have to be clear if that's what you really want. Because what you really want is to grow a Substack large enough to pay your bills, then that's going to change how you approach your writing. If your goal is to write the best possible novel, well, then why not work on that novel for 10 years? But if your goal is to write a Substack that pays your bills, well, then you need to be publishing more often to grow your audience, right? It's going to change your whole approach. And there's nothing worse than tracking the wrong metrics because then you'll do it for months or even years and you'll end up no closer to your actual goal than when you started. All right, number four, building off that last point is to make sure you're tracking the right thing. So once you've figured out what you actually want, and you're lining up those metrics to align with that, you want to make sure that you're tracking lead measures and not lag measures. In the case of a Substack, a lead measure would be how often you publish, but a lag measure would be the subscribers you gain. You don't have any control over the lag measures in the present moment, so you don't want to track that or use that as your metric. You want to make sure you're tracking the lead measure. And that's what I've learned over the years. I'm sure there's a lot that I'm missing or a lot I can still learn. So if you have any advice, please leave it in the comments so I can learn from you. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and a comment. It helps out a ton. And subscribe for more essays on writing and analog tools. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.